I liked your idea of kind of just keeping the conversation we had going,
Yeah,
running, and I prepared
awesome.
some kind of general questions, because I get a lot of them, and yeah, I'm sure it would be useful for other people. Um,
Yeah, awesome. Okay, so did you want to mind starting with like what your takeaway was from our last conversations?
yeah, yeah, absolutely. I mean, so, um, well, we started talking, right? And I told you I've kind of uh, I'm getting into this world a little bit. I'm kind of, dipping my toe into the spiritual side of our reality or whatever you want to call it, the non-physical or
I
there's so
know.
many terms in this world I'm learning, but
Hmm.
just this getting an idea that there's something bigger than our physical existence here on Earth. Like that idea and that side of reality has really kind of opened my mind and opened my eyes to what reality is, right? What is our world and what is our, purpose, so to speak? What does it mean to be human? I think a lot of these questions have started to come into my mind, and I wanted to ask. I never really had an idea of what you really do. I had
Mm,
an idea. That was it. I really never knew what you did.
uh-huh.
Um, but then you told me you're a soul healer. I'm like, wow. Like that term in itself just like had like, whoa, like where do we even begin with that?
I know,
Um,
right?
and so first that, we talked about what is the soul? I mean, that was one of my questions today. Like, what is the soul? How does it relate to our physical existence or human body or what our physical reality is? How does everyone have a soul? Does everyone interact with their soul? Does the soul is the soul our true self? And kind of what we're doing here on earth is like what people have referred to as just an experiment. um and then you told me. And then it led me down, okay, we started why are things the way they are? Why does life on Earth seem so hard? Why does being a human feel so hard? Why is there war? Why are there bad emotions? Um why do humans do certain things to each other that make life harder for us? Um
Mm,
so then, we talked about that a lot and how um I think a big thing that I kind of got from our conversation too is you really need to learn to accept things the way they are because from what I got from you is that your soul does have a plan. Everything does have a purpose. But learning to accept things kind of the way they are and knowing that you have a higher self or a higher being looking over you. Um, that was kind of the gist. I mean, we talked for a couple hours,
yeah, it's great.
and but the big takeaways I got from that conversation is that humans do have souls. Um, but I still had more questions as to like what the soul is and what do we even do with that information? How can we use that to be a better human? Um, and yeah, that mind body soul connection. What is that? What is you know, is there a connection between, the mind, body, spirit, the Holy Trinity, okay, we have a soul, but what as a human can we do with that knowledge? I've been struggling with that. Been, curious as to like how that can
Hmm.
benefit us. It's good to
Yeah,
know.
it is good to know.
Yeah.
Awesome. You're so great, Alex. Thank you. I'm so grateful to have this conversation with anyone and to have it with you. It's just really a blessing. So thank you.
Yeah, me too, Wendy. I mean, like, It's the first time I've had a conversation like this. It's kind of it's scary, but because these are big topics.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, I just want to learn more. I'm interested.
Yeah. Okay. So, I'm looking forward. We talked about next week to meet and do a session with you. Is that you still interested in that?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Because really, for me, I know it sounds crazy, but for me, like that's the answer. To get you getting your own direct experience is the answer for me, right? So, like, there's a million books out there, and there's a million talking heads out there, and like for me, we talked about several times. I'm just like, look, I'm just some chick at a party talking to you, right? Like I'm just another person with my own experience, and I'm happy to share it. And I really want to keep enforcing that the frame of that is this is just Wendy's perspective. And have you ever heard that? I might have referenced this that on every corner when there's an accident in the middle of the everyone has a different perspective of the accident. Like this is a known thing, right? So that's the most important thing. My passion is to have you, to equip you so you can like delve into this shit, which is awesome, right? Like to actually get your own answers. Wouldn't that be amazing? Like
Yeah.
instead of like what the religious people say and the spiritual people say and the woo-woo people say and the new age people say and the whatever. It goes on and on. And so you're going to get a different answer whoever you ask. And my hope is that you'll keep sliding into your own direct experience that you can learn to discern. And, like, because people are like, oh, yeah, that's great. Like there's some famous, what's it called? There's a famous uh, killer, killer in a line person, and they're like, well, why did you do it? And it's like, well, the dog said to do it. It's like, okay, first of all, since when do you listen to dogs? Right? Dogs say like, feed me Seymour, like, so don't listen to dogs. And second, like, learn to discern who are we listening to physically, but also spiritually. This is one of the big things that I do with people. Okay, so you're hearing something, seeing something, getting information. Who's it from? And what's that? What are that? What's their what do they have in the game? Like so discernment is very important.
So I guess that leads me to another question. I mean, discernment. So, are you helping people figure out their truth?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, because it's hard to tell what's true.
Really hard.
Yeah, especially these days.
These days it's ridiculous. 5 minutes you can make a video that's completely false. You
Yeah,
know?
yeah.
Yeah. We're inundated. And so my hope for you is you'll keep honing your discernment, but also your soul senses that you can get your own information about spirit and spiritual things, but also about your own body and your own life,
Hmm.
right? It's the same for me. It's the same pathway. We go below everyday consciousness into soul, I call it. You don't have to. You could call it subconscious, I don't care. And into there, you can get into communication with the body and others' bodies. That's really popular these days. Out of control ability to do that is called empaths. People are like upset that they're feeling everybody's emotions. That's something we can turn up and down. We have control about that. We can get that information. We can get, and it helps, right? You're a new dad. It's like you really want to know. You want to be able to perceive and discern and be able to act in a healthy way in your family.
Mm-hmm.
This is all available, so much more information than we're used to getting through going below everyday consciousness, below conscious thought, rational thought. So that's available as well as our spiritual information. So that's just the world I live in. And so there's lots of names for this. There's seer, clairvoyance, and clairaudience, and empath. There's psychic, there's mystic, there's and what's hilarious is that, and the one reason there's so many names is because for some people, some belief systems, some names are verboten. Some they're like, oh, and then over here, other names are verboten. So there's no good name. So I say soul senses a lot and I talk about soul, but psychic means soul. That's what the
Okay.
word comes from. So that's a known word, but that really scares away a lot of people. I very much use the word mystic, which some people are very attracted to because it's more goddish, it's more so some like more goddish people are happy with that word, and other have been trained that that's a terrible word. So you really put your finger on it really early. There's no good words and it makes it complicated, right? But if we can get neutral about all the words and be just like, what are they actually saying? Seers can see and see beyond the everyday. And that's normal. For me, that's normal. And it's always been normal. Um, but I had to learn. I went to school when I was the beginning of the millennium, 2002. I started like learning tools and distinctions to help me because I wasn't always sure. It's just like when I first I've always had soul senses, but when my soul senses exploded when I was just before 30, I was like so open and getting so much information. And I was just like basically I lived in a world, well, it must be God or Satan. Like who's talking? Right? Like that's all I had. You know? I was like, okay, well, I was putting a lot of stuff in the God pile that was not God, you know. And so I had to
Mm.
learn these distinctions and discernment. And I had to learn to be able to turn the stuff up and down because it can be very intense. Or a lot of people have trouble, like some seekers are wanting to be able to see better. And there's ways to do all of that. But I had to get help from people to learn it. So I came a lot naturally. So a lot of people have some natural talent, but to hone it is a whole different thing. Just like all Olympic athletes have natural talent. If they were only backyard athletes for the rest of their life, they'd be good, but they wouldn't be Olympic. They wouldn't be world class. So that's what I do. I
So it's
take
a
people,
skill,
it's totally a skill. It's a
huh?
skill.
That
It is a
everybody
skill.
has.
I believe everybody has. And it opens
So
more when we go along our soul path, when we mature in our, what I'll say, the soul, just like when we go to
is
school,
this
our
like what I hear,
rational.
the ascension of the soul, or your soul ascending, like
Sure.
you're yeah, we're getting into
Yeah, it's fine.
the
It's fine. It's just
lingo.
kind of woo. And it's also, it's, it's a, from my perspective, it's a dance between us and spirit. It's not like spirit does it all. We don't just sit and eat bonbons in one day. We're enlightened. That just doesn't happen. You know? On the other hand, we cannot get there. I like to say there's a Girl Scout song that says, trying to get to heaven on the end of a kite. Like we can't do it all ourselves either. So it's a collaboration. And what I've
Uh,
noticed is that we learn and grow a certain amount, and then grace just pops us to the next level. That's my experience. And then we learn and grow and heal and change. And then grace pops us up to the next level. It's like we have to put in the effort. Like you might have experienced it with sports. You were big on baseball, right? So
mhm,
you go and you're little and you learn to swing and you learn to catch and you learn, and then all of a sudden you like get it, right?
mhm,
And you can actually play. And then you start playing and you play with your team and it's awkward and you don't really know each other. And then all of a sudden, like you're a team, right? And you like jump to the next level. There's some of that. It's just you get enough muscle or whatever. Very often I use the grades as examples, right? So it's very important. And this is what's happening in the spiritual space a lot and why it's so inundating for people who just start is that everybody wants to talk from the consciousness they're in or the consciousness they think they're in. Everybody wants to talk up here, and you're coming in the door, down here, and you're just like, dude, like,
Yeah.
there's just and they want you to like be here with them and talk to them here. And you're like, I just got to kindergarten. Is this just 1, 2, 3 thing I hear about?
Yeah.
ABC, like teach me how to stand in a line, how to not talk when the teacher's talking, how to go to the bathroom in the bathroom, right? Like, and that's not, I think it's competitive to be just like, you should know calculus already. And what's wrong with you if you don't?
Yeah.
And I'm just like, hey, look, we're the same. We're just humans. We're spirit. If to say the Christian way, we are temples of the Holy Spirit. And but all of us. And some of us have been cleaning the temple. Some of us have been collecting firewood, like whatever metaphor. And so you go through the grades and you learn, and eventually, third grade, for me, third grade multiplication tables. Oh, wow, and then, algebra. I loved algebra. So it's just like, but it, we can't try to be up here. I always say to my students, will you please stop trying to write Shakespeare when you don't know how to spell yet? Right? Let's just learn
Right.
how to spell. And but we try to buy because our society is all about buying, right? We want to buy and find the right intellectual information.
Yeah.
But from my perspective, the intellectual information, the only good part of it is if it inspires us to keep going to school and keep practicing and be like, and really honestly, the babble that comes out of most of people's mouths, even mine, it's all just, it doesn't matter. What matters is who we're being. So I will encourage you. A physical and discernment thing is Jesus talked about this quite a bit. He talked about the fruit, and so did Paul, who wrote a lot of the Christian Bible. Look at the fruit. Who, if this person says like they have the way, this person they're like all like I'm the spiritual guru. It's like if you're the spiritual guru, how do I feel in your presence? Do I feel stupid? Do I feel not enough? Then what does that tell me?
Hmm.
Like, of course, I have invalidation. I always feel not enough, right? It's like the human condition. But if I feel more not enough in your presence, that tells me something. Whereas if I feel like, oh, it's so fun, it's so easy, this person, like, I feel like I'm rising, just being with this person tells you
Hmm.
something.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So I'll give you this you've probably heard of Ram Dass at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's fun. So I don't know. Did you know much about him?
No, but he a physicist, science guy who got
Yeah,
into
yeah.
the
He was a Harvard
metaphysical?
professor.
Yeah. Okay.
Hmm. And he was hanging out with Timothy Leary, who you might have heard about, and they were doing whatever things that change your brain, drugs. And
The drop in,
it was
drop out kind of
great. It
thing.
was great, right? They were having a hell of a time. And they started changing their life so they could do this as much as they could. But Monday morning always came, and they had to like fucking go back to work. And Ron, whatever his name was, Albert something, some not cool name. He said, I can't do this anymore. I cannot come down. I don't want to come down.
Yeah.
And so he went off to India on a little quest, and bippity boppity boop, he ran into who became his teacher, his master, and he came into the presence of this person. And the way I mean, he like went his, he's just he blew up in his soul. But my picture is he jumped like 3 levels of
Hmm.
consciousness, just being with this guy. And then other things, very, very funny things happen, but it's not important. And then here's the thing. So he jumps up in consciousness, and for the rest of his life, he's devoted to this guy. Eventually the master dies. He's still devoted to him. And but when he was still there, the master said, "Okay, go talk to you know, my guy, and he'll give you the deets about like how to meditate and how to understand things and how to." He he changed his consciousness, and then he said, here's some practices and perspectives from the religion he was in that works. And then Ram Dass came back, and he the rest of his life he's raising his consciousness the rest of his life and sharing with people. And by the end, he'd really gotten somewhere. His presence was a healing.
Yeah.
And he
Wow.
learned how not to have to come down. So anyway, I love that story.
Okay.
But he tells that story in Be Here Now. It's a cute little book. But that's the best story in it, I think.
So then what I'm gathering so far, like everybody has a soul. We all potentially have capabilities to interact with our soul or communicate or, get information from our soul. Okay. And then like there are people like you or, the mystics or the
Hmm.
healers or, you had a bunch of other words for them, but have skills who can communicate with your soul. And so someone like you helps people level up, goes through the grades faster to find their
Yes.
truth.
Yes. And also I help people soul read. I help them perceive more clearly. I help them perceive, choose, and act from under everyday consciousness. And I help them heal, shift, change. And I teach them to do the same. I want to be viral. Like I want to teach whoever wants to learn how to do it, and then how to help people heal, and how to help people learn to do it themselves, right? Because that's when you
Okay.
get the exponential. If other people if I teach other people to do it themselves, and they teach other people to do it themselves, then we've got something going there. And with no attachment and no what I train in, there's two things I do. I teach wherever I'm doing, I'm teaching tools that help they're like levers in our space to make things easier. A lever, Archimedes said, if I have a lever long enough and a solid place to stand, I can move the world. Like they increase the power. Um, and I also do one-on-one, I do other things. I give personal background. I do stuff with people about healing change inside, and then there's basic counseling stuff. So there's a lot of things going on over there. But the main thing that I'm doing and the main thing I'm trained in is to use tools and to share tools. That's it. And the
Okay.
tools build our muscle. The tools help us be able to run up the stairs faster. Like you know.
And you mentioned, so there's levels, right? And as a lot of people who come into this space start at like a kindergarten level. Some of the gurus might be a PhD level, right? What do you recommend to people like me, I guess, who are just starting out? What can they do when you're down here and you're trying to, do they start with meditation or do they start with,
Mhm.
I'm not
So
sure, how do you expand your consciousness or get in touch with your soul
yeah,
for
yeah,
beginners?
we call it meditation. And there's like a million ways to do meditation. There's some that have really good PR. They're the squirrels of the spiritual world as opposed to the rats. They're really
Okay.
they're really good. It's like people think of like Zen sitting as meditation, and it is, but it's not the only kind. And some people, etc. So yeah, meditation is to basically to tune in inside. And I don't want to blanket things, talk about it, but so I'll talk about what I do. What I do is what I call it is active meditation. And
Okay.
I say it's active because let me just say this with not to be mean in any way, but most religions and spiritual practices, from my perspective, through the ages in our consciousness, in our Western world, have been designed by men for men. And most cisgendered men have plenty of chutzpah, plenty of breakthrough, plenty of get up and go. Let's do it. Let's roll. So they don't need to develop that. You don't need to develop that. You have that. So the spiritual development that a lot of cisgendered men are needing and looking for are the receptive, receiving information inside and out, receiving the presence of the divine, the gifts of the healing of the divine, letting go, letting God, that kind of stuff. Like that's what's very much focused on because that's what a lot of men need.
Hmm.
My perspective is that all people can benefit from that, right? Who doesn't need to let go more? Everybody. But the other side of it is really important to develop. We need two wings of the bird. Not just do we need men and women and male and female in our experience, we need it in our soul. So in my soul, I don't need to just learn to let go. I need to learn to act and choose. Might notice it's like big in my words because we need to be active. And there's a lot of people, some men too, and a lot of women who just think that letting go is the only thing we can do. And there's a time for it. And when it's time, great. It's kind of like you bring somebody you love to the hospital after a bad accident, right? There's
Hmm.
like at first you want everybody to hurry and scurry and fix them better than ever. But there comes a point where it's like they can't fix them. And that's the point to say, okay, I let go, get out of the damn way. I'm going to be with this person and let go and be with this person. Stop fighting that they're dying because they're dying, right? There's a time for all things in every season.
Hmm.
So in our own souls, there's a time to act and there's a time to let go. There's a time to choose and there's a time to receive.
Hmm. How do we discern that?
That's discernment. It's
Yeah.
very much discernment.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it is. And discernment is a muscle. Discernment's a spiritual gift. Spiritual discernment is a spiritual gift. It's also a muscle. Everything I talk about, everything I do, it's a spiritual presence, a spiritual gift, and a soul muscle that we have tools to develop. Everything
Hmm.
in my system. Because here's what I believe. I'll Christian you again. I'll Bible you. It says we're seated already seated with Christ Jesus in heavenly places. We're already there. We're already in heaven. We're already there. We don't die and go there. We're there.
Hmm.
That's what the text says.
So
And
what are we doing here?
we're
Or
playing.
is it in our heads?
We're
Are we really
playing.
here?
Well, I don't care
Okay.
because right because like I'm I've told you I'm agnostic intellectually. I don't know. Like it seems real. It's real for the body, and I need to
Yeah.
handle the
Feels real.
body. Feels real. Um, and it feels real. The soul stuff feels real. And you might not be familiar with it, but as we go into it, you'll be like, oh, okay, that's in my soul.
Yeah,
That's
like
in my
some of this stuff
body.
I've been just hearing sounds so real. Like, it just, I was like,
Yeah,
yeah, this is how it is. That's gotta
yeah,
be, but it's not what we're taught. Um, yeah.
right. So what does it matter? The point is that we're already there. But what part of what we're doing here, I believe, is that we're explicating the implicate. Those are big words. Where the name of my work is Bloom. The focus of my work I call teleos. It's a Greek word. It's big in the Christian Greek, and it means to basically it means to stop being an acorn and become the great oak. Teleos is to become the great oak, to come to fulfillment. And when we do, we feel fulfilled and we are fulfilled. and we fulfill our purpose, and we bring lots of good fruit to the world, and everybody is their own kind of tree. This is Wendy. You don't have to believe it, right? But that's the Greek word. It means to come to, like a telescope, to keep step by step open until you're fully open. Um,
Okay.
and so from my perspective, I'm caring for the body and my soul to learn to do what Jesus asked. What I believe, whatever he prayed, he asked for, and he did. And so for me, the important part of the Lord's Prayer, our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. This is the important part. Thy realm, thy reign, thy realm, thy kingdom, thy realm come, thy will done on earth as in heaven. That's what I believe we're doing here. We're in ourselves and in our world. Kingdom come, word. It's just words, right? You say at church. But
Yeah. Thy kingdom come, that will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Yes.
yes,
Lord.
I believe we are bringing heaven to earth as we bloom and as we together bloom and all together bloom and our whole universe blooms. We're explicating the implicate. We're realizing what is inside, what you hear in the dark, say in the light. Scripture. I keep scripturing you, you might not know
Yeah.
it. So, so
No, I mean,
yeah, that's what it means.
it makes
I
sense.
say,
It's like you said, going back to earlier. So like all the answers come from within.
yes.
It's like, we're reaching and grabbing and looking and searching. So, like you say, all the answers come from within. But, I've also heard like it's our job as humans or humanity, but we're trying to remember, like remember who we truly are, or remember what we used to be, or remember where we came from. So it sounds like those answers are also from within.
It's the
Um,
same, it's just different words.
yeah,
Can you
okay.
see it's the same? We have the answer in the acorn.
So everything, yeah. So essentially, we have everything we need. We are everything we need to be. So how has humanity forgotten? Why are we in this current state where because we're born helpless and we don't remember where we came from. We don't know our purpose. We don't know where we are. Why are we born with such a um naivety of our reality? How come this information is so hard to access? Or, because there's people like you out there who have found a way, thankfully. Um, yeah, I guess I would like to hear more about, sorry if we're going off a tangent, but how did you realize you were speaking to the soul? And then how do we, I guess going back to one of my original questions, you've touched on it already, but what do we do with that information?
Yeah. I'll start with the end, which is I really believe that we learn to truly live. We learn to truly live. We learn to taste the strawberry. We learn to joy in the children. We learn to meet them where they are in present time. We learn, right? Like, I really believe that if we truly, truly touch all parts of ourselves, spirit and body in this reality, I call it the strawberry. I'm so excited about it. I call it the strawberry, right? If we really taste, we're there, we're doing what we're here to do, and we get a taste of eternity because in that taste,
Hmm.
we are experiencing heaven and earth and our body and all the things. And so I'll go back to because I know that you have some foundation here, Catholic, right? So Jesus, he said, I am the way and I am the truth and I am the life and I am the door and I am right? He said these things. And I don't believe he meant he's the only door. There's a door right there. So, right? But he was being love. He was being light, and he was being life. He was being life. He was being what we're learning to be, alive.
Just because he chose to?
I believe he
Right.
worked his way there, and I believe he was, he'd mastered the earth. I believe
Hmm.
he learned how to eat the strawberry every moment and be with heaven and earth and God and be light all the time and see the light in us.
So eating the strawberry helps us remember.
Yeah, it's like we are remembering. That's how I use the thing. And I got that picture from you might have heard this story. So a guy's being chased by a tiger. This is an Eastern story. He's being chased by a tiger and he's about to get eaten. So he jumps off this cliff and he's
Hmm.
falling. And then he grabs like this tree limb on that's hanging from the cliff. So he's like hanging from the side of a cliff and he's fucked, right? He's like, there's a tiger here, and he looks down and there's a bunch of tigers below. And then he looks and there's a black and a white mouse eating the branch he's on. So this is the human condition, right? This is the human condition. We were born and we start dying. We know this is the game we're in. And it really, I believe it really helps to understand that we're in this game in which we're born and we die. And sometimes we get hurt and we get fixed, and sometimes we hurt and we don't get fixed. And everything that we know and love, everyone we love, in this reality, everything is passing away. But the essence of all that is always here because we're all just part of God, right? But so we're basically fucked, right? On the physical level, right?
Yeah.
And then the little whatever the little story says is so then the guy sees a wild strawberry. Have you had a wild strawberry?
On a farm, not wild. No.
It's like taking the best strawberry you've ever had, packing it into like this big. It's like, oh my God. Anyway,
Wow.
it's like, right? And it's like he sees the wild strawberry, eats the strawberry. And when I first, the first decades I heard this story, I was like, this guy's a nutcase, right? He's like, doesn't even have problems. He has to eat a strawberry, right? But that's the point. In the midst of all the bullshit, Alex, life is so much bullshit, right? You can just get so caught up in it and lose yourself for decades of your life.
Yeah.
Miss the reality of your family, miss the fun of your work. You can just like march like you're a military person being force marched through it, not enjoy 1 second,
Yeah.
not really be here, right? That's the answer. And in that moment, it makes it all worth it.
Okay.
All the hell of this world. You taste heaven once.
Yeah. That's all you need.
All you need. And then, and then from my perspective, what I've experienced is that I was just like, dude, oh, this is all worth it. And I was just like, can I do this more? Because I'm human, more. And then can I do it every day?
Hmm.
And I can't do it every day, but I mean to, and I'm close. I do it most days. It's
Eat the
like,
strawberry.
dude, yeah, dude, yeah, yeah, like and I access it really well by like jumping in cold water or wild water, cold wild water or etc. You know, but everybody has their own access. But the whole idea is that our whole body, not just spiritually in meditation, because that's a whole different thing, experiencing the ecstasy. It's so awesome, right? Bliss. Ah, it's so awesome, right? But the
Yeah.
body's just sitting there, right? When we bring in the body experience too, that's what we're here for, I believe.
Okay.
So some people access that. Sometimes they access it like in sex for a moment. Sometimes they access it with food for a moment. Sometimes they access it in the wild for a moment. And that is like, let's keep going there because that's aliveness,
Okay.
I believe. How are you grokking that?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of get out of that like you just gotta stop and smell the roses. I mean, that's all you really can do.
Hmm?
Um, and when you have a tiger trying to eat you, above and below and you're hanging off a branch, might as well stop and eat that strawberry. Like,
Right? You're fucked
like
one way or another.
so, yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
it's like with everything, it's seems like it's much easier said than done,
it
but
is way
yeah,
easier.
and it also makes me think like everything is a choice.
Yes.
Um, yeah, I'm trying to be more mindful of my emotions, but yeah, every time I have something come up that makes me anxious or angry or scared or whatever, I'm choosing to feel that way, or I'm interpreting my reality and then choosing to feel that emotion, and sometimes it plays out negatively in my life.
Yeah.
So then
Um,
can you eat the strawberry and then realize, okay, like change your perspective in a way to avoid going down? What does that help you avoid?
it helps me getting avoid getting lost
Okay.
in the suffering
Yeah.
and the despair. And one thing that I've really noticed, and this is goes with it, it's like there's so many that are just like, oh, make the emotion shut up, make the intellect shut up, make the ego
Yeah.
go away, right? It's just like,
Shut off your intellect, kind of. Yeah.
right. It's like, dude, the intellect is like one of our greatest gifts. Like to pretend that we should shut it off is kind of dumb, I think. But it doesn't get to drive the car. That's all, right? Because the intellect do doesn't see the big picture. The intellect's really good at spreadsheets and plans and right. And so it's awesome. It's like,
Paying
how are
bills.
you gonna, yeah, paying
Like,
bills, building skyscrapers. I mean, it's all awesome, but like it can't drive because it has no true deep answers, nor no true deep understanding of the way. But it's awesome in the passenger seat because I
hmm.
can say, let's go to Florida and go in the Springs. And the ally says, we can go this way or this way, and we can see this and we can do that. Right. So
Yeah.
it's a matter of not letting it drive as opposed to trying to kill it, which is just dumb. And I don't know if you know this, but I had a major head injury about a year ago. And
Yeah.
I lost a
You told me
lot of
about a
my intellectual
concussion.
capacity. Oh yeah, I told you. And boy, it made me happy for what I still have.
Yeah.
Right? So fuck that. Get rid of the intellect thing. And also the emotions. Emotions put us in motion. Emotions are body communication. Others'
Yeah.
emotions, my emotions, right? Like it's like that's how bodies communicate. Why in God's name would we shut that off? It's the way we communicate with all the living things. And but we can't let it drive. Oh my God. Right? It can't drive. It's not allowed to drive,
Is
right?
that would it why would that lead you? You're constantly in like a fear or flight kind of state if you're just living off your
Anything you're in,
intellect.
anything. It's like even the great emotional passion. It's like I gotta stop eating strawberry shortcake sometime and like actually, do something else, right? Like whatever the emotion is, it's great. It's information. And the actual physical emotions are just chemicals and they come and they go like seconds, like 30 seconds kind of thing. But then we intellectually we'll take something like fear for a second and then we'll turn it in and we just keep spinning it with our intellect called worry. And then we can spend the whole day like that, right?
And
We
then a
don't,
day turns into a week and a month turns
uh,
into a year and then
a
you're
life,
depressed. Yeah, like
a life,
crazy how
right?
that can.
So none of those things get to drive. I like to think about the emotions are strapped into the back seat like kids.
Okay.
Right? It's like they're safe back there. I can talk to them back there. I can say, yes, we can go to the park after you finish your homework. Yes, we can. Right? But they don't get to
Never let them
decide,
drive.
right? I mean, I'm sure you've been there, right? It's like I really want to say this rotten thing to my partner, right? I really want to say it. Am I gonna? Sometimes. Right? It's not a good
Yeah.
idea. right?
Yeah.
So, and it goes from there, right? Our sexual impulses, awesome, awesome, right? Totally awesome. What a blessing. Awesome. Don't want to let those things run around without us, right? Like,
Yeah.
don't
You
put
gotta
that
hope
in
your
charge.
intellect kicks in, yeah, with some of those
So in
situations.
trouble, right? Oh my God. Wake up the next day. So, like, all these things are such blessings. There's not anything to eschew, not like to force away from us, but we need to get our house in order. That's all. We need to drive the car, and this is a very central metaphor for what I do, right? Because it's all about learning to drive the car as in our in my tradition, it's called like a spirit identified as the people say the witness or the watcher, as this as the most spiritually identified, neutral, amused part of my soul. However you want to say it. We center that somewhere safe in our body, and that's considered the driver's seat. And then everybody else needs to get with the program. And that takes training, right? Emotions aren't just going to do what we want the first time we ask. And so I call that puppy sit. We just keep puppy sit. Eventually the puppy learns to sit, right? First time we say to the puppy sit, it's just like it's not impressed at all. It's doing what it wants to do. But eventually it will sit. And then see when the puppy learns to listen to us, then we can walk down the street and have fun together. If it
Hmm.
won't listen to us, it has to be on a leash and in the house all the time. So it behooves everybody to get our act together on this.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Um, that leads me to another question of like, well, you mentioned discernment earlier, and then when you do have, I don't know what to call them, whether it's like, when you have certain thoughts or emotions or ideas come into your head, how do you discern what is helping you or hurting you? Um, yeah, because sometimes I feel like it could be your intuition trying to tell you something, which is, I assume, would be for your benefit. Sometimes it's your intellect telling you something, which,
Yes.
and then maybe sometimes, like, I don't know, I'm sure you've had pretty profound experience of hearing voices or something.
Oh
Okay,
God,
how
yeah.
do you, yeah. Um,
Hmm.
well, I'd love to hear, like, how do you discern? And then, like, what was your experience when you started feeling this for the first time? How did you make that discernment?
That's a really long answer.
Okay, yeah.
But I will say that I'm not hiding it from you. It's a long answer. I have like some books with that stuff. But practice,
Hmm.
tools, distinctions, like this tends to be like this and this tends to be like that.
Try to
Taste
notice
taste
patterns in
for it,
our
notice
lives.
patterns. Um,
Okay.
having friends that are also trained that can give me feedback, right? There's times, like when you're like, I'm thinking about getting married, or I'm thinking about quitting my job, or like, in big things.
Yeah.
I'm advanced. I've been doing this for professionally 22 years. I've helped a lot of people. But when I have big things, I have my friends look at it, right? I like didn't leave a job or move cross country without getting some other people on other corners to be like, what do you see? Um, so that's really helpful for really big things. But the big things get smaller the farther I go and the more I trust myself and the more like I know, I mean, I don't know. Like I've always known Jesus for a long time, right? I know how he shows up. I know his resonance. It's like knowing your wife walking into the room. You know what she smells like. You know the sound of her, not even consciously, the how her cadence of how she walks, the how heavy she is on the ground. Like you'd know it if you had blindfold on. right? Like
Hmm.
you just know. And so as we play with spiritual friends like Jesus or Mother Mary or Buddha or whatever, we get to know them and then they can help us too because they I have them vet if I meet somebody new or whatever. I'm always still I'm just like Jesus, what do you think about this guy? Oh, he's great, or whatever. So that's really
Wow.
helpful. Yeah, when you get to that point, it's like you're set because you have your own internal vetting, and still I have outside people check because the dog told me to kill someone, sometimes that might seem reasonable.
Yeah. So
So,
there's tools, like you said, there's tools and practices we can use to discern the bullshit from the truth. Um,
absolutely.
okay.
Yes. And we develop something called certainty. And it's not intellectual certainty. It's not everybody most everybody in the world is looking for that and making interesting decisions because when they find somebody who seems to on the physical be certain, they're like, well, they know, I don't know, but they know, so I'll follow them. It's not a good idea, I don't
Yeah.
think.
I think that's
You
how
know,
pyramid
so
schemes get started.
pyramid schemes get started, yes. And cult leaders. So,
Yeah.
but honestly, another thing to say though is that I have great spiritual certainty, and that really helps me. And you're seeing it now, right? Right? I like this is my experience. This is what I believe. Please don't believe it yourself. Please try yourself. And that's what spiritual certainty looks like because spiritual certainty
Do you
wants,
care if people believe you or not anymore?
no, it's weird. Like, I've been reading professionally I've been reading since 22. I've been reading like 28 years or something. And at first I'd be just like, how's that landing? I'd be watching them. And I'd be like, do they like that answer? Like, did that make sense to them? Yesterday I was working with somebody and they kept telling me, Wendy, no, that's not it. You're off. That's not it. And I'm like, well, I don't care. We can drop this. I don't care. But I'm telling you, I see three chairs and they're blah, blah, blah. And they're in your shadow and they're like there are ways that the past people are talking to you to come down and talk to you and you don't even know it. Don't even know it. And the person's like, no, no, blah, 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 blah. And so, but I'm just like, fine, fine, let's go to the next thing. I don't give a shit. Like, just like, you don't want to hear it. I don't care. Right. And then eventually she just kept coming back, coming back. And I'm just like, you don't want to hear me, but you don't want to go on. And then eventually she's like, oh my God, you're right. She's
Wow.
like, oh, that's why you keep saying this person. That's why, because I was naming a person and I was naming a thing. And she's just like, no, 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 no. And then she's like, oh, yeah. And so if you go through that like a million times, start to trust yourself.
Yeah.
Right. And it's just my corner, though. She can be on the other corner and she can be like, I didn't see any of that. I don't care. Let's just go on to the next question. Right. Put it in the hopper. Maybe when you're in the shower, you'll be like, holy crap, my brother did do that or whatever. So,
Hmm.
um, it's a muscle I've built over a long period of time, just like everything else. Like if I continue to say the spiritual truth that I perceive, I get a lot of positive feedback. And every now and then people are like, nah, you're off on this one. I know you're great, but you're off on this one. I'm like, oh, okay, fine, I'm off. Like it's not me. My ego can't do it. My body can't do it. My body had to learn to just sit down and talk about things that it had no idea about because the bodies don't understand these things. And that took me years. I was miserable for years in this training. I did it so I could heal myself. I didn't do it to read. I
Hmm.
wanted to become a great healer because that was my calling, but I was just sick and I needed to heal. And so I did it and I was miserable for like 2 years, twice a week for 2 years, because my body's like, we can't do this. We don't know. Nobody cares what we say. Can you imagine? Like, just thinking about like people coming to you and you're just supposed to say things, right? Just like, I don't have the answers, right? The intellect's like, right? But my body had to learn to just sit down and shut up and be like, we'll play later because right now we're going to look at things that have nothing to do with you and say them, and people like it or they don't. So anyway, certainty. It's a spiritual gift. It's a spiritual vibration. It's a blessing that when we're in, everyone around us is in. This is the secret. When I'm in
Hmm.
any vibration, forgiveness, love, any of the blessings, the divine presences experience, I know I'm there partly because I experience I'm there, but everyone else around me is invited to be there. So my spiritual certainty invites me to be certain of what I experience, and it invites you to be certain about your experience, not mine. That's when you know that you're sharing a spiritual blessing with someone, because I want you to experience love in your world, not for me.
Hmm.
I want you to be getting your truth, not mine.
So it should
And
feel
I'm
as
telling
true
you,
to
this is a
me as
really
it
good
does to you.
discernment thing. Say again. I was busy
Is
talking
that
over you.
like
Go
it
ahead.
should, I guess if we were in a reading or you were, in the middle of a reading, it would feel as true to me as it does to you, whatever you were trying to convey. Is that
Well,
a
in a
kind of a way to
reading,
put it?
the game in a reading is for me just to tell you what I'm seeing, just like I'm reading a book. And the game is for me not to care what you think about it. And the game is to, I mean, you know that people have gone to mediums, and they just, part of the structure is like, don't give me too much feedback, right? Like that's a tendency, right? It's just like, because I can't care about that. All I
Hmm.
can care about is I'm like literally reading this book to you, and and you can like it or not like it, and accept it or not accept it. So that's the reading game. But how I usually work with people isn't just reading, because I train readers. It's like I honestly I don't really care about reading. Reading is something that gets me where I want to go, which is healing. It's change. It's transformation. It's becoming who we are. That's what I care about. So when I work with people, they have a chance. I'll tell you now because you'll have this choice
So there's a
one
difference.
next week.
Like, yeah, there's people who can just
Big difference.
read, but you're reading and then
Yes.
using healing techniques to fix the problem.
So different. I'll tell
Yeah.
you, Alex, it's not day and night, but it's morning and night. It's like,
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, this is what's happening. And yeah, no, you can't buy that. I'll give you an example that I love. A friend of mine had real trouble. He was a carpenter. He had real trouble over time. He bought a truck that he couldn't afford, and then he eventually lost it. It was a mess. And then he went around in this jalopy forever. And then, and then he comes to me and he says, can I have a truck now? Right, and not lose it this time. And I look, right, the reading is in the moment, no. The answer is no. But if we do this, this, and this, and shift this, this, and this, then you can.
Hmm.
That's a healer. I'm reading and saying, okay, well, let's tweak the having this, and let's up the this and shift around that, and right. And then we did that in like no time because he was almost ready for it. And then he got a truck and everything's fine. And it's been 20 years and it's fine. So,
So can you use that to convey? I've heard of a term called our soul contract. So does that mean like our soul has a plan for us and we're here to carry out that plan or that mission? And are you trying to convey that mission in certain ways? Or I'm sure it sounds like some people come to you for just practical life
right.
stuff.
Yeah, all
Sorry
the
for
time.
going down a totally another
No, no, it's
rabbit
great.
hole,
This is
but
so great. It's so important. Um, Regular readers read through that a lot. And that can be helpful and important and useful. But here's where it goes to, there's some important distinctions as a person receiving a reading that people really need to understand. And one of them is that readers might not always see time scale.
hmm,
Like, so I know someone who was a little trained in the kind of the way I do, and he was a okay reader, and but he got a reading, and he was programmed, he was told that he was going to write a book, a really important book, and it was going to really make a difference. So he starts writing the book and he's miserable and it's taking forever right? But maybe he was supposed to start writing in like 10 years. Maybe like he wasn't done making his system. Right? It's just like it's just so important not to be programmed by readers. It's kind of like talking to AI. When
Yeah.
you talk to AI, you have to be very specific. AI is, what do I like to say? AI is like talking to a really capable child.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? You have to be
Exactly.
very specific. And sometimes you can't. There's times I say to people, look, I'm not really sure because people are always changing. I'm like, I'm not really sure if you're in this cycle, in this turn or just coming into it or coming out of it. You're somewhere in this turn. And I can't
Yeah.
tell.
Yeah.
What I can tell you is that you're turning. And this is what it feels like and looks like. And they're like, oh, yeah, yeah, I've been doing that for a couple of days now. Or, oh, yeah, yeah, I can feel that coming. So it's just really important not to get programmed. It's
Hmm.
and not to take advice. A lot of times people give advice that they need to hear. And it's really important. It's like books don't give advice. Books are like, this is what is happening. So to be like, people want advice. And I'm just like, look, if you keep going the direction you're going, you are going to fall into the river. But if you shift, then you won't. And right now, it looks like you're pretty dedicated. Looks like 85% chance you'll fall in the river because it looks like you don't want to change. Right? Like I can read that, and that's not
Hmm.
programming. That's just information. Fucking
Yeah.
turn. Like unless you want to be wet, turn.
And is it up to the me to change that course, or we apply practices and tools to help kind of?
Well, in my world, taxes, the
Yeah.
regular people have outside tools. One time I said to a friend who she was starting to learn tools, and she was a yoga teacher, and she said, I'm like, okay, let's learn more tools. And she's like, I have tools. I'm like, what tools do you have? She's like, my best tool is wine at night.
Mm,
Like, what I'm talking about. That's a physical, right? That's a
yeah.
physical tool, but it works for people, however it works, right? But yeah, so learning the
Is it
inner
true
tools.
that alcohol damages your soul? I've heard that.
Some people can't drink, right? Like I can't eat sugar. My body doesn't metabolize it correctly, right? And
Hmm.
that's about me.
Hmm.
Um, some people can't drink because they are physiologically not compatible. Uh, so there's that. Um, there's a big difference between having a glass of wine at a social occasion and, drinking every morning before work.
Yeah.
Um, and I'll give you that distinct. So whatever about alcohol, I don't care. That's a discernment issue. Right? Every answer is there's no answer, you know? So addiction, basically, I want to talk about addiction, which is something bringing us to more aliveness. Am I more alive? Am I engaged? Am I more here now with you? Or am I mm, not so here now with? Am I checking out? Am I checking in or am I checking out? And eh, basically, almost all of the things that are addictions can be used for good or for bad. Like there's some drugs that have been used by certain communities for a long time to help open spiritually in a context with a leader, blah, blah, blah. Sometimes that's very helpful for people. Sometimes it's just a distraction. Sometimes it makes them lose their space.
Yeah.
Um, and same thing with alcohol or drugs or sex or food or work or right. We can abuse anything to check out. People have 17 million cats,
Yeah.
you know?
Well, so that was, I guess, how do we damage the soul? Can the soul be damaged? Assuming it can, if we're healing the soul, how do we hurt the soul? How do we damage the soul?
My perspective is we do, I mean, the soul can be damaged by trauma and abuse. And
Hmm.
I don't see much as not fixable, but it can take a lot of minutes,
Yeah.
a lot of work, a lot of hell, a lot of healing. Um,
Okay.
but my perspective of this world, it's kind of like, I don't know, the picture I'm seeing is I played soccer mostly. I'm just saying it's like a soccer game, and most of the time it's just bruises. And sometimes it's bloody. And sometimes, you really get hurt. Um, it's just it's a game that we're in. And it can be damaging things. And sometimes we walk with a limp.
Yeah.
And but it doesn't mean that it all can't be worked together for good, to Bible you again. It can all work together for good. And in my experience, there have been many times, and a couple really, really big times, where it's like, dude, I wish that this did not happen. This injury, this illness, this terrible trauma, why would I possibly create that? And I see, like, I can never say this for anyone else, but I see like that concussion that I got last year. It forced me to make shifts that I would not make and I wanted to make. Did I say this to you before? And
No.
I won't say it in as a general pat rule or anything, but it was like I really wanted to get from here to there, and I wasn't doing it. There was a part of me that was stuck on something, and now I'm not stuck. I'm like so much more here now. I really had, and so much more allowing like sacred power to flow and all this stuff. I'm out of the way in a way that I wasn't before. Um, and I walk with a lot of limps. So I wouldn't worry about this. I don't know. Another thing is that what I notice with my students is it's helpful to be in community because they'll try stuff or they'll go off and do something or they'll do some magic, let me do this magic trick, and then one time my friend who I love, um, who's very capable and not trained very well, he was like playing with my head and I wasn't paying attention because I was like, And then I woke up and I like kind of came to. I was like, dude, what the fuck did you do to my head? Like all my energy was off in my head. This was like a long time ago, and I was a little bit smitten. So, so I was just like, oh my God, my head's totally fucked up. So, but I had the tools to to get things back where they belonged. So people get in trouble, and it's great to be in community, and it's great to be around people who have a clue, to be just like to limp in after the hard game, after you did your hard game on the weekend, and be just like, hey, chiropractor, can you help me out?
Yeah.
Like, because I really need it. And
No,
then, and then dance out. It's
I found
really
that to be
helpful.
totally